Yo! Alright, so I forgot to film an intro this morning because it was a little bit crazy. But I am now in Michigan. I got me a sweet Toyota Camry rental car, and I'm about to drive 3.5-ish hours north to where the KTM is that I'm going to be riding for the next few days. So now we're going to go back in time to some sweet time lapse of taking off and landing, because why not? And when I get back to you guys, it'll probably be tomorrow, and we'll be looking at what KTM calls the scalpel. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, weather has finally decided to start cooperating with us. So, you know, I came to Michigan to see my buddy Pat, a little bit of icing on the cake, get to see Cody, but the real icing on the cake is, and what you guys are here for, is the ride Pat has secured for me for the next couple days. Huge shout out to Derek. I have never met that beautiful bastard, but he is going to let me ride his bike for the next 2 days, assuming weather continues to cooperate. So what we're looking at here is a 2021 KTM 890 Duke R or Duke 890R, or I don't know. I watched Chris Northover from Bike World's review last night, and he fell so madly in love with this bike that he considered just stealing it from KTM and not returning it. So that it creates some high expectations here. So the R model comes with these massive front discs and Brembo monolock brakes. You got the fully adjustable WP Apex suspension. And they do rebound and compression through different forks, which is pretty neat. Full-blown TFT dash. I mean, this thing's got like insane electronics and everything. Not anything I'm gonna be messing with. Oh good, it was in track mode yesterday, now it's in street. Which Northover was saying that you probably, on the street, want, like in town and stuff, you definitely want street mode. He said it was, jumpy in track mode, so I have no idea how to, change this crap, but street mode should be a good starting place. I'm sure I'll be messing with that at red lights. So yeah, this thing I believe makes somewhere around 115, 120 horsepower. I feel like I read a few weeks ago 96 foot-pounds of torque, but that may have been the base model, not the R. Just a couple points that Northover hit on that I can regurgitate. This thing's designed with the track in mind. The shift linkage is designed to easily be switched to GP shift, if that tickles your fancy, which it does tickle mine, but because this isn't my bike, we're gonna leave it alone. So I'm gonna have to be very conscious of the fact that I'm using the opposite shift pattern to what I have gotten adjusted to. It's got all sorts of crazy slipper clutch, back wheel, hyper moto sliding computer trickery in there that we will not be playing with. Wheelie control, yada yada yada, that we will not be playing with. But overall, just a very popular bike that you don't really see very often. Oddly enough, though, I'm pretty sure I saw one on I-70 or I-275 going to the Tampa airport when I was leaving. So, steering damper, standard from the factory. It's super lightweight. I think it's something like 160, 170 kilos dry. So it's a very lightweight bike. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Pat's gonna take me around, show me some of the nice roads out here compared to the Florida crap I'm used to. And we're going to behave ourselves and just enjoy the sights and sounds from two wheels instead of sitting in a car, because cars suck. So I'm gonna get the GoPro put on here, and we're gonna hit the road.
Find your dreams come true. And no one
sorry for the weird angle. That's the best I got with the attachments I have with me. So yesterday did a little over 100 miles on the KTM. Today we're gonna do more than that. So I wanted to give some like initial first thoughts on the KTM 890 Duke R or Duke 890R or whatever the heck it is. Super easy bike to ride. You know, sometimes when you get on a new bike, especially for me, where I have one bike at home with a slipper clutch and one with a standard clutch, it sometimes takes me a minute to adjust to the clutch feel and how much to slip it and yada yada yada. And the second I got on this thing, there was no extra slipping the clutch while I found the grab point or anything like that. It was just go instantly. Clutch is super light, coming from Ducatis, and Ducatis are a lot better than they used to be, but the clutches are heavier than most bikes, so it's it feels like there's nothing there. We are having a front brake issue. It feels like a warped rotor or something. At first, because I've never ridden a bike with ABS, I was blaming the ABS, but as I thought about it more, it was like, it just doesn't make any sense. ABS does rapid pulsations to prevent the wheel from locking, and this thing's stopping and rocking me with steady brake pressure, like I'm grabbing the lever, letting go, grabbing, letting go, grabbing, letting go. So I feel like a fluid issue would be a soft lever or varying brake pressures, but this is like a rhythmic increasing and decreasing of brake pressure that it literally rocks me forward. I feel like I feel like I look like an amateur on the bike, but I'm just holding steady pressure and it's rocking me back and forth. With the pace we're riding, it's not a safety issue by any means. We are going a very sedate pace, so I'm not worried about it as far as a safety aspect, especially with the low traffic here. If I was in Sarasota, Florida, I would not be riding the bike right now. Or to be fair, if I was riding it the way I ride my own bikes, I would not be riding it right now. But with what we're doing, I'm not worried about it. So we're gonna mess with that a little bit this morning and see if we can maybe figure out what's going on there. So otherwise, the TFT dashboard, I've never ridden a bike with a screen and modes and buttons and all that crap before. Super intuitive. Having never used one of those systems before in my life, as we were riding, I was able to safely change drive modes, throttle response mode. While I was trying to reduce the brake issue, I was able to switch it from road ABS to their Supermoto mode. Yeah, no issues there. Supermoto mode reduces front ABS, which is why I tried to switch it. It also turns off rear ABS, so you can back it in. Not my bike. I will not be experimenting with any of that crap. But boy, oh boy, would that be fun to experiment and play with, you know, those extra nanny systems on there and stuff. So I think it's got like anti-wheelie and stuff, but I'm not doing anything like that. I believe it has launch control as well, also not messing with that. The mode I was playing with was switching the throttle response. So Chris, I believe it is, from Bike World, he said in town the street mode was perfect, and track mode was too jumpy and uncomfortable, and then when he was being a hooligan, the track mode was perfect. So I just kind of played. So I started with the bike in street, and a couple times I dropped back from Pat and kind of roll on in fourth gear, and I was actually really underwhelmed by the power. I switched it to Sport, which you can do on the fly. You just go through the dash, pick your menu, it has you close the throttle briefly, and then it switches. So I switched it to Sport and definitely felt the improvement. And then at one point I did switch it to Track and dropped to third and kind of revved it out through third. And then just briefly into fourth and then backed off. It's got some power for sure. Top end, I think it's probably got a little bit on my Monster. The low end torque is not the same, which I know because I looked at the numbers and the Monster does like 96-ish foot-pounds of torque, and I've also got the Ducati Performance airbox, air filter, and an SC Project slip-on pipes, which I mean isn't crazy, but probably gave me a little bit extra on there. And the KTM is somewhere in the 80s. So low end, it feels very different. Higher up though, at the peak RPMs, it definitely has more pull than the Monster, but overall, I'm betting you put the two of them on a drag strip and it would be very even. So it's like the perfect amount of speed. I mean, I keep telling people the Monster with that like basically 100 horsepower, 100 foot-pounds of torque number is just absolutely perfect. You can get away with realistically riding like an asshole and you're not doing 140 miles an hour. You can actually run through the gears and rev it out and stuff and enjoy it without doing insane speeds. I mean, you can definitely still go to jail, but it's not like 600 or 1,000 that once you get them revved up, you're really asking for trouble. So it's good in that regards. It's definitely not as quick as the 749, but you know, the 749 was designed for a totally different purpose. So yeah, great power, very manageable, very rideable. I didn't mess around with like track mode when we were in towns or anything. For the most part, I just left it in Sport. So I only switched to track just to experiment with it once. So yeah, I mean, it's a instantly comfortable seating position coming off the Monster. I think it sits a little taller, if I were to guess. The seat is not as comfortable, but it may be a KTM Performance seat, and this bike was kind of designed with track in mind. So I don't think that's the OEM seat from pictures I've seen online and what's on it. So it may be like a lower, stiffer seat for more track use, and we were kind of just sitting stagnant, so that's not really what it's designed for. So anyway, oh, the exhaust is super quiet. Anything above like 40 miles an hour and you can't hear it. So all the footage is just gonna be music, because otherwise you'd just hear wind. But yeah, overall, super impressed by it. I would have loved to have had a chance to see what the brakes are doing. But you know, I don't know what's going on there. The bike is due for a service, but I think that's just like an oil change, and he probably did it on his own and hasn't reset the light. Or it may actually be due, I'm not sure. But yeah, the brake issue we are actually going to be looking into now. So I just drove by Pat's garage here, and he's already got the KTM in there. So we are going to get straight into that. And I will have more feedback on the KTM after today. So thanks. All right, I don't know if this angle is gonna work, if the camera is gonna stay there or not. Just trying to multi. Nice. All right, that went poorly. All right, I don't know if the camera is gonna stay there or not. I'm trying to multitask here. Just wanted to do a quick final opinions on the KTM. So the brake pulsation issue, I think I left off my last commentary on pulling up and thinking Pat and I were going to work on the brakes. Pat had actually already had the brakes apart and was putting them back on. He found one of the pistons and one of the calipers was sticking. Took everything apart, cleaned it out really good, lubricated everything really good, put it back in, and it felt like the brake issue was fixed. However, as the brakes started to heat up, it came back. So it was slightly better, but it was definitely still there. And as the ride went on, even after the bike had been parked for a little bit, as soon as I got back on, it was there. So unfortunately, he probably needs to do like a whole caliper rebuild kit, you know, fresh seals, fresh everything, maybe polish the pistons, all that stuff. So realistically, I have no opinion on the brakes, because even at very low brake pressure, they were jostling me around like crazy, so I didn't dare grab the lever. Power. I messed around with the bike a bit more on the second day with the longer ride. It's a quick bike. It is a quick bike. I think it would definitely pull my Monster 1100. I think, you know, first off the line, first 100 feet, the Monster would have it, but then after that, it would start to slowly walk away. It's not a fast bike, but it's a naked, and I don't think you really want a fast naked. I mean, I've never ridden like a Super Duke 1300 or anything like that, but I don't know, it just sounds insane to me. You know, Mike, who has a MT-01, he says that once he hits like 120, 130, the wind is dragging him back so much that 600s start to walk away from him. So it's one of those things. Honestly, it's in that sweet spot that the Monster is in that I think is ideal. You know, when I was riding the 749 on the street, or when I had the CBR 954, you can't use it. I mean, the CBR first gear ends at 90 odd miles an hour, and you never get to rev the bike, you never get to change any gears. You just kind of rev up a little bit and then short shift into third or fourth and then just sit there, even on the highway. So this kind of like 100 horsepower, 100 foot-pounds of torque, or 120 horsepower, 80 foot-pounds of torque, it's really the sweet spot because you can actually rev the motor. You stick kind of under the radar. You're not drawing too much attention to yourself. I mean, you can still easily be doing felony level speeds, but they're probably not going to whack you for the full speed as long as you're keeping it under 100 type of thing. So the power is very usable. It's quick. It's quicker than my Monster, but it makes the power differently. It definitely needs more revs to get happy, whereas the Monster from rip, that thing is trying to pull the front wheel up off the ground. So the little bit of handling I played with, the bike steers very quickly. It is very responsive and light. The big thing I noticed was slow speed handling. Parking lots, you know, gas stations. Pat and I were stopping every now and again to figure out where our next turn was and stuff like that. So U-turns, on that bike, I was whipping tighter U-turns than I do on the Monster that I'm used to, without having to take my feet off the pegs or anything like that, just doing a little bit of counter steering. It was easy to do the whole Zach Quartz 0 miles an hour without taking your feet off the pegs. I could crawl it up to lights without ever having to put my feet down. Very very quick steering at slow speeds bike, and very confidence inspiring. And I'm not great at the slow speed crap, so to be brand new to that bike and be whipping the U-turns I was and stuff like that without doing any duck walking or anything like that, I was very impressed by that. I think it's taller than the Monster by a little bit. I don't know what the wheelbase is in comparison. I don't know. I don't think a steering damper has much to do with slow speed, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I don't know where the difference is in that. You know, when I got on the Monster first, after being used to the 749, I couldn't believe how quick that steered and how nimble it was at low speed stuff, but the KTM definitely had that beat there. So, I mean, a brilliant bike. I really wish I could have, played with it a little more, actually tested out its handling and stuff, but you know, Pat gave me the offer to lead a couple times, and I figured no, it's smarter to stick behind with the level-headed chaperone and behave myself, because it's not my bike. So huge shout out to Pat for being my tour guide, for negotiating with his sister to get me the cabin, and for doing the extra work he's had to do to help make sure we got that bike. And huge shout out to Derek, who I have never met, never even spoken to on the phone. He checked out our this channel, the Florida Moto Talk channel, and apparently decided I was competent enough to ride his beautiful KTM, and for that I'm eternally grateful. And who knows, that braking issue may have been going on for a while, and he may have just thought it's his first bike. He may have just thought that's normal. It may have slowly gotten worse, and you know, when things like that happen, you don't really notice it. So there's that potential as well. So at least we identified and pretty much diagnosed an issue for him that he can get taken care of this winter or next year when he comes into riding season. So again, huge shout out to everyone. Brilliant bike, brilliant riding. Northern Michigan is beautiful. The tunnel of trees was incredible. I've looked at some of the footage. It communicates, but it's nothing like being there. Elevation is really not indicated very well on the camera, but riding with those beautiful woods on either side with gaps where you got Lake Michigan on your left and then beautiful houses on your right, it was just absolutely one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in my life, and definitely the most beautiful place I've been on a motorcycle. So yeah, I have no complaints. Bike's in one piece, I'm in one piece. Great riding. You know, of course, the racer in me wishes I could have fiddled around a little bit more, but overall everything was absolutely perfect. So thank you for watching. I know there's a lot of time lapse and stuff, but I'm also trying to show just the Michigan side of things, especially with the bike being so quiet and not riding aggressively. I didn't think like normal speed bike footage was really going to be that compelling, but that is it's my overall opinion, and definitely a bike I would be eager to ride again in the future. So thanks for watching. Peace.